Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
Back up into the ring in just a moment or two for more exciting fucking action.
Ego and Vice, episode 95.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
Born and raised in South G-Bay, lower class punk ass, I was Northwood grade. I had it made. Spent my nights drinking with my mates. Just a short bus ride up to PA. Red River Red. Then I hit the wall and I knew I had to bounce. They still say that 19 years ago. Well, I got the hell out. From time to time you may see me hanging around. Now I feel like a stranger in this town. Crocs and rolls is where I learned to play. Westwood Tavern's where I learned to walk away.
Yo, what's everybody doing? This is Mike. This is Ego and Vice. This is episode 95. I'm not going to beat around the bush too much today. I have a guest on the podcast. His name is Pete Hammond, and he's a local musician. He's an artist. He's an author. In my eyes, he's a motivational speaker because he motivates me. He's just an all-around great guy, good friend. He was part of... how do I explain this? Like in the 2000s, there was like this music scene that I was involved in, and like the Ottawa music scene. It was just this chunk of time with this certain chunk of bands, certain chunk of people that just I hold very, very dear to me as a very important time in my life. And Pete was definitely a part of that. And it's just an amazing conversation. Great guy, so much positive energy, and such a great story to tell. And he tells it so well. The less time I spend yammering on, the quicker we can dig into this episode. I'm going to play a song from Pete's band, Loud Love. And then, we're going to get back, and I'm just going to go right into it. No fancy phone gimmick like I usually do. Just straight into the conversation. So, this is Loud Love. This is Ego and Vice, episode 95, and we'll be right back with Mr. Peter Mackenzie Hammond.
Lights out. Troubles in this body of mine. The hands are moving. This is it. This is it. Down in my lair.
Look at this. I got this like this J.J. Abrams kind of like solar flare going through my. It's like the Star Trek movies, eh? Jim.
I like that.
Yeah. Anyway.
So it's nice. It adds a little bit of pizzazz, you know?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I don't use any video, I just use the audio.
Okay.
I'm not super technically technical when it comes to the video side of it. I'm more of an audio guy. Always been an audio guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So your little lair. You look good, man.
Yeah, man. I'm just gonna find my volume. I think I'm deaf. I lost. Oh no, there you're back.
Yeah. I have an issue with my audio my interface with the audio through my phone because I just do I don't use my computer. I just go through my phone. But once it goes through the actual the interface, it sounds awesome in post, if you will. So what
do you use? What do you use for the your interface?
I have a Steinberg, like a 4-channel Steinberg. It's what is it? It's a UR44. And for my software, I use Reason.
Oh, how do you like Reason?
Good. It was like a cheaper, Matt Luloff, obviously. You know Matt?
Yeah.
He used Reason for a bunch of stuff, and he kind of showed it to me, and he just kind of sold it to me as kind of like cheaper version of Pro Tools, if you will. Okay. And with Reason, you don't with Pro Tools, you have to use I think you have to use their interface, don't you? Don't you have to get like a Pro Tools interface?
I never got Pro Tools. My buddy, do you know Drew Grant?
Maybe.
So anyway, he.
Oh wait. Oh no. Never mind.
He used to play. He played bass for. He's a really good guitar player actually, but he played bass for Great Scott for a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, no. So he got me. He helped me set up to record about 7 years ago, and I can't remember what the hell the program was, but I found it I'm just not. I don't get excited by the techie stuff.
Yeah.
And I struggle with that. So GarageBand was kind of the speed I was able to handle. So
yeah.
But now that I'm going to get back into recording just my own stuff, I think I want to see what's out there because I'm a little more patient now. I think it was a patience thing, there was so much in my head all the time that I just want to get it out, and I don't want to sit there tweaking shit and.
No, I can relate, man. Take this for what it is, but I always wanted to be the talent as opposed to the guy behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But as I've kind of gotten older, and the software and stuff like that is available. Reason is still kind of over my head, so I know where you're coming from. Yeah. I know that I only use probably about 25% of the software because the rest of it I start clicking buttons and I'm overwhelmed,
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I wish what I'd like to do is I'd like to get a half decent program, and then get somebody who's really knowledgeable on that program to basically set me up in my space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get myself another. I used to have an electronic drum kit. I'm going to get another one, and just get all plugged in, get out all my levels set, where I'm happy, and then I can just
plug and play
go.
Almost. Yeah.
I just want to get press click the button and just go.
Preset.
Because you start fucking around and it's like anything. You start messing around with you get too involved in trying to get your levels, and all of a sudden the idea is I'm going to go to that guy because he's ready to go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So anyway, that's what I'm going to do.
I just do demos. I don't know if I'm really I just want to record my own shit, right? I'm not I always tell people on the podcast too, it's just they say, oh, so you must have a little studio. I'm like, not really. I record my own demos. I'll never record your band type of shit. I don't want to be that high tech kind of thing. I just want to kind of be able to, like you said, record a decent demo. And the recording process for me is not the hard part. It's the mixing. And when you start adding shit in EQ and compression to make it actually sound like not a demo, that's where that's where I am at. That's the level I'm at right now.
Yeah, no, I haven't even gotten that far. I mean, did you never met Ohan? He was the first bass player in Loud Love. He was from Brantford, Ontario. I met him in the Yukon.
Okay.
And he's now got he moved to Cape Breton where I was living.
Yeah.
And he's got a nice little studio there, and well, I'd sit with him and he'd try and explain to me like where you position everything sonically and how like my shit comes out like as a muddled mess because I don't think of the panning, I don't think of the placement of
Sure.
like it is such a deep world that I mean I'm already 30 years behind, right? So it's like at this point I just want to get like my basic scratch tracks down or my half decent tracks down, and then I'll send the shit to him and let him mix it. And because he's really good at mastering now. Like he was doing, that was his full-time gig for a while, was mastering.
Yeah.
And like that's wizardry to me,
Oh, same.
And,
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
So that's kind of like I didn't give up on music, but I stopped for a long, long time. And now that I feel like my life is in it's funny because chaos used to be the thing that drove me. You know what I mean? Like being in chaos was where I felt comfortable. So then that chaos I took and then turned it into music. Right. So it was, but that was the process of a man in his 20s. And now that I'm on the doorstep of 50, it's like, well, I don't need to feel chaotic to be creative. I don't need to, I don't need all that. I don't need to use music as the thing that keeps me from jumping off a bridge anymore. So now it's like I just want to make stuff that I'm happy with and express myself for myself and share it with, I have no aspirations of going out on tour or like it'd be nice to play some shows, and I don't know if that's a result of like COVID, but I just don't feel that desire to go out there and get in a van and just like try and chase that dream. You know what I mean? It's not the creative process is what I fell in love with. And I didn't realize that till, a few years ago. It's like, it's not really about, we all know how good it feels to go on stage and have people resonate with your music and have like this incredible shared experience. But man, what I love is like getting up at 5 a.m. and coming downstairs and writing. Like I love writing, and get my coffee and it's fucking dark outside and I'm writing, and I'm going into this world that I'm creating, and I don't need 4 other guys' opinion. I don't need, so the creativity's gone from music to like writing, and it's more intimate, and it's, I don't know. It's just a different experience for me now, but I do miss music. I miss the brotherhood of it. I missed hanging out with my my bandmates, my friends. But at the same time, life changes, right? Like we end up in different places. Everybody's doing different things. So, and you can't, it's like, you don't want to kind of try and go back and recreate something that's already happened, like I never wanted to be that band that like went away for a bit, came back and did the same shit. Cause it's just like, I don't know. I always feel sad. And it's like when I see bands like April Wine or Triumph and they're playing like the Shawville Fair, like there's no shame in that. But like when I think like these guys were gods on stages in stadiums, like ruling the earth, and now they're playing to like, there's just something about that makes me feel kind of sad. And I'm not laughing at them or like feeling like, cause I'm sure those guys are enjoying their lives and they're just happy to be playing music. But I'm just like, I don't know that there's, well, it's like watching your dad get beat up or something. I don't know.
I think once the creative process starts and you just keep doing it, then it becomes more of a nostalgic act, right? Like those Shawville fairs, like Honeymoon Suite tonight at the Carp Fair, and it's just like they get up there in their old leather pants, and it just becomes more of a nostalgic act, and it's, I don't know, I guess it's kind of for them, it's like a boys weekend maybe. I don't know what it is.
But, I don't know, because I mean I'm sure they're like, I don't know if they're doing it all the time, but it's like that would suck if you had to do it.
Yeah.
And you're just going from like county fair to county fair, like you're back at square one.
Yeah.
Because a gig like that when you're, let's say 15 and 16 and it's your first gig, it's
awesome.
Like holy shit, you're freaking out, right? Because you're like, oh my god, we're playing on a stage. There's like a sound guy. You know?
I counted. There's 63 people out there.
Yeah. And your parents are there. It's just like it's this big deal. But anyway, no, I'm not. Jesus, I'm the jaded old man now.
No, man. Like we're probably close in age anyway, and I get it too. Like, it's hard. It's hard to, like you said, it changes. Like the thought of like jumping in like a van and like going across country and shit like that is so unappealing to me right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm in that stage in my life where I like being home and I like getting home at 6 o'clock and going through my nighttime routine. And I understand what you're talking about too, getting up in the morning, getting a coffee and stuff like that. And that's why I kind of started. That's why I got all this software and stuff, just to write demos and write music and stuff. Because I haven't really done much for the last like 3 years or so, like music wise.
Yeah.
So I kept the podcast. Like I started the podcast like 5 years ago, just to kind of give a voice to like Ottawa music, you know, to my friends, and you know, make an hour episode about them so they can tell their story, and so their friends can listen to it, and their parents can listen to it and stuff like that, and maybe somebody who didn't really know about them but saw them live could have a listen to the podcast and be like, oh, right.
Yeah.
And then through the pandemic, when there was no music or band, I used it as just something to keep me creative, kind of tapped into stuff. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
And now coming out of it, it's like, actually funny we talk about that. Though today at 1:30 is my first band practice in like 3 years.
No way.
Yeah, with the guys, and fucking we're at a new band, new jam spot and stuff. So I'm pretty excited actually.
That's cool.
Yeah. Should be fun. I'm pretty pumped, man. It's pretty exciting. Like, that part of it's always in me. I've always considered myself the talent. Not talented, but the talent.
Yeah.
So it's still, as much as I'm getting into and getting comfortable with the behind the scenes and writing and creating like what I'm doing here, it's still a fucking high for me to play my guitar and get loud. I think, anyway. I don't know. It's been a while. Maybe I'll hate it. Who cares? Who knows?
You know what, man? Yeah. It's. I thought about that too, because I thought about what it would be like to play like a real show again, and I was talking to my lady about it, and I was like, you know, I think I'd be nervous. Like, I think I'd be really almost like the first time again, because it's just been. I mean, the last time Loud Love played was right before the pandemic at the Rainbow for my sister's birthday. It was one of these, we hadn't been playing as a band for years. And then she said, you know, I know I'm throwing this out there, you know, blah, blah, blah. I just wondered if we could do this. And anyway, we ended up at the Rainbow. I think it was 2000 and was it 19? When did the pandemic start? 2020?
Kind of, well, yeah, started 2020, started hearing about it. And then I think it was like March, April, when it really kind of started impacting everything. Because
Sean ended up right after that show. He basically, I think he had COVID, because he said he'd never been that sick before. Like, he had he said it was like a flu, but it was like he was exhausted and he was like really, really not well. And that was like days after that show. So, but that show was the same feeling you're describing, because I was living in Cape Breton, and I came home for that show and for Christmas, and I was so excited just to be in a room with the guys again. And this was like pre-COVID, right? So it was just that feeling of being with the guys again, and all the banter and the bullshitting and the you know, that stuff that happens within a band, which is like, it's like, I think to me that's the best part of it, is those relationships and the banter and the just having a brotherhood or sisterhood or whatever you want to call it. It's like your own little gang, you know. And I miss that. A
little family away from family, right? The other family. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but with that comes, you know, multiple personalities and different ways of seeing things, and then, you know, now you're trying to be creative, and it's kind of like an orgy, I guess, where, I mean, I can imagine orgies get awkward. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do I do with my hands? And like, what?
Only if you do them wrong.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm jealous. I'd like that. I'd like to. I wouldn't mind going off to rehearsal for an afternoon, and you know, but then it's like, what do you do with it, right? So are you gonna play a show, or?
Well,
I don't know.
Like I said, we're just what we're aiming for. No shows coming up. Like, you get in a stage in life too, like you were talking, like when you're 20 years old and you can jump in the van and go, and that was your goal. Like, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. It's like, nowadays, like most of the guys, like all the guys, they're married, they got young kids, you know, there's different priorities, different responsibilities. Band is more of just like a golf weekend, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you take it as seriously as you can, you know what I mean? But other things come first. So I think with that balance, it's good, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't, you don't feel overwhelmed with it. It's like, yeah, we're getting together to jam, but I don't have
Yeah.
to. I don't have to clear my calendar for the next 2 weeks because we have all this stuff we need to do. Right. Well, I'm sure we will eventually if we actually do tour and stuff. But it's not that. It's not that pressure of a band like in your 20s where you had to live, breathe, and eat and sleep it. Right.
Well, yeah, and I think there's a big portion of it too, where it's like you got to give yourself permission to realize that you just don't want it anymore, like you did, and just be like, okay, that's cool. Like you had this great adventure with like-minded friends, and music, it became, such a job in the end that, like, band practice became, a chore, and not something I was enjoying anymore, and when that starts happening in like any relationship, you got to ask yourself why, and what are the elements that are making that happen, and then decide if it's something you want to continue with,
Mm-hmm.
So, and things have a natural course, like, in nature, everything has its natural rhythm and its natural timeline. And, whether you're writing a song and being in a band or, going to the bathroom to have a dump, like you want to force it, it's not going to be the same experience as if you just go in there and let it happen naturally. You know
Fair
what I
enough.
mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean? It's gonna.
Everyone can relate to that, no?
That's what I'm saying. Like, whether you're writing a song or going to the bathroom, it's like rush it, force it, different experience.
Mhm.
Or if you're not in the right headspace, I guess. But no, I hope you guys have fun. And I think that this like, I don't know, personally, like I said, I'll be 50 in September. And not that I've ever, like, numbers never made sense to me, because when I was 21, I felt 80. And now I don't know what I feel like. I feel just, I'm here,
Yeah.
And it's not, and I think it's when you're chasing, like if you're trying to stay relevant in the public eye in any way, if you're in like a youth centered, endeavor, like music is typically, it's all about the youth, but I feel like I haven't created my best shit yet.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be it's a personal thing now. It's like songwriting now is so different because I play a lot of acoustic guitar and I'm messing around with open tunings and I'm enjoying that. But the creative process is what it's all about, and it's become this like intimate. It's this intimate space that I get to be in, and it's not about, oh, geez, I hope the crowd likes that, or you're trying to design songs to create a set list, to create a mood, to create an environment, to create an evening, to create you know what I mean? Like this whole, oh my God, the layers of the layers of things that require your attention. It's fucking exhausting, man. And then if you're obviously trying to pay the rent and you're trying to, you know what I mean, have other things happening in your life. It's an all in commitment. And I couldn't do that now. I just
well, you mentioned
I can't imagine it.
You mentioned earlier that you're not writing in chaos or living in chaos now. Like when it comes to songwriting, like I can relate to that too, because I quit drinking like a year ago, and I always use that as kind of like a drinking to write like lyrics and stuff. How has your writing changed as far as like when you used to write even 10 years ago to where you are now?
Well,
what do you write about? I always have trouble nowadays.
So like, okay, so my creative shit is like, I've got my writing, like my book writing, you know what I mean? That world. And then my songwriting is different, but it's always been about just listening and getting quiet and trying, like back when it started, with music, Loud Love. I mean, I've told the story 1,000 times, but Loud Love was really, I mean, I'd gone through some crazy experiences that I was trying to just, I don't know, get over or integrate or whatever the words are, and it was like, songwriting felt like just like a survival mechanism. So it was just like pick up a guitar. Cause first of all, I'm a drummer. Like I've been a drummer forever, but when I started treatment and I couldn't play drums anymore, I picked up a guitar because all I had to use was my hands and it wasn't a full body experience. So, I started songwriting on the guitar and I wanted to, so I started writing like with a pad and pen, how I was feeling inside. Cause I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. So I just wrote it to see it on paper, to get it out. So that's like, because I was always just a drummer, right? I'd show up, and I shouldn't say just a drummer. I was a drummer. So you get asked to be in a band, you show up, you play drums, you listen to fucking songwriters pontificate about all this shit, and I'm just like, let's play, right? I was just like an animal. I just wanted to play drums, smash drums.
Yeah.
But then going through all the health stuff, I realized that like when your physical, my physical way of expressing was taken away from me, I had to express myself in a visceral way, which drumming gave me before, physical, visceral, real life expression to, okay, I don't really understand what I'm feeling. So I'm going to write this down to get it out of my head so I can see it. And then I just started putting, music to it. But then I started to hear songs that were complete in my head. So then I would, and I'm a hack guitar player. Like I taught myself, and I put my fingers where it sounds good. You could yell out chords. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but if you show me or start playing, I'll jump in. Right?
I relate to that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like, and I never took music as like, I like when I'm around musicians, I feel like a redneck blue collar construction worker. When I'm around redneck construction worker, blue collar guys, I feel like an artist. So it's like, I never really felt like I fit in anywhere. Because I felt
like a fraud.
Yeah. Just somebody that wasn't fully committed to any of those worlds. And because it was things I like to do. Right. So you're chasing these muses, but going back to the creative side of it, it was just, it was a way to just get rid of the pressure I was feeling from the experience and putting it somewhere where it could exist outside my head. And then Loud Love became like therapy. And then I got guys involved and started songwriting. And I really was trying to, it's like all of a sudden, when I realized, how much pain a human being could get in, could experience, and then wanting to alleviate that in other people, so Loud Love became this like, okay, for these 2 hours of a show, we're going to forget everything and we're going to just have a good time and everything and just express ourselves. But it was therapy, man, like 100%. Like I didn't enjoy very many shows until the show was over and I was driving home alone back to the farmhouse. And then I would enjoy the show, because when you're leading the band, like as a drummer, I enjoyed music immensely because I had the best seat in the house and I could watch everything, and you're in control of things. So your body's locked into the rhythm, and then you can just look around at people dancing and you're just enjoying it all. And you're watching for cues from the guys in the band, and it's a way different experience. But as a singer, songwriter, frontman, I found it really hard to enjoy the show.
Do you feel like it's like because it's all on your shoulders, like whether it goes up or down or good or bad, it's up to you?
Well, right off the get-go, like if you're leading your own band members, right? So it's like I've always felt like a platoon sergeant, where it's like, okay, guys, like we got to do this mission together, and just like follow me, you know. And so you like, I found that if I was feeling off, the guys would look at me and they'd know it, and that right away, that's setting a tone, But I didn't want to ever. Now the blue collar side of me was like, we rehearsed like crazy, it was very much like we were on a mission here, but I treated music like I would a job site, like I'll have our different role. I'm here to be a foreman. We're going to get this done, but I'm working in it with the guys. But yeah, I wish if I could go back, I'd tell myself like, man, enjoy this a little more, because it was always about the next. Well, if we do this right, or we go to this showcase, you know how it is, man. Oh, maybe someone will see us and we'll get picked and chosen, as opposed to just, what, I choose to do this and enjoy this and enjoy the entire process, from rehearsals with the guys when everyone's tired to playing Blues Fest or playing these really great venues. But I'm glad I had the experience, period. But if I could go back, I would definitely tell myself to chill the fuck out a little bit and just like, but I mean, that's in Cape Breton. Well, I'm not going to say that because it's rude, but you're always just dealing with the person you are at the time, and so you can't be 50 saying, well, I wish when I was 21 I would be this way. It's ridiculous. You weren't. So if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle, and it's the same thing. Like, that's who you were then. You did it. But if I was still stuck in that now, that'd be a problem. That would be an issue. If I was running that kind of energy then that I had then now, I mean, you know,
Yeah, it's not a lot of growth. I think you'd be just kind of stuck, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now I feel like because there's no pressure, there's no pressure to be anything or to, to have any kind of recognition. Now I can get to a quiet enough place inside myself where the muse shows up, and and I find with writing it's different. Like I can sit in front of my laptop and just like the story just tells itself. I just show up and my fingers move and the story shows up. I don't have to think about anything. When the ideas get built up too much, I whiteboard them so I don't lose them, and then I have I follow the whiteboard, right? And even that can change. But the idea is it's waiting for you. And I've been lucky that way. I've never had writer's block. It's never been, oh, what am I going to write, and pressure. And now I'm just writing because I enjoy it and it's a world that I get to create. Yeah. But with music, it's the same kind of thing. Like I sit down and it's just, I'm enjoying the process of just holding a guitar and making sounds with it. Like I don't even sing anymore, you know, like I started singing again at work. You know, I'm a building operator, so I take care of warehouses and different, commercial entities for a company. So I have access to all these spaces with great acoustics. So I've started now going in there and singing, in these spaces. But I don't feel I don't feel like I have anything in me that needs to be expressed on that level. Like whereas before I had all this shit that I wanted to sing about, but now I'm just like, it's fun to sing, you know, feels good to sing.
Yeah.
So
therapy.
It's different. Yeah. And there was an acoustic, like one of these warehouses has all the stuff for staging homes, and there was an acoustic guitar in there, and I was like, perfect. So I grabbed this guitar, tuned it all up, and once in a while I'll go in there and just bang out a little tune, in this like big booming space, and it feels great. But
well, it sounds silly. It sounds silly, and it's probably been said or cliche, but it's like I think creative people need to be creative, and it will come out one way. Oops, hang on.
I agree 100%. Like, I love making people laugh. So, I mean, if I'm standing around with 3 or 4 trades, it becomes like a stand-up show. And I want to make them laugh, especially if they're having a hard time, or they're, guys, the trades, days start early, they go long. Like, it can be a grind, especially as we get, older.
Yeah.
So I want to make these guys laugh. I want the relationship with them to be, when I call them and I need their help, they're excited to come hang out because we have a good time, even if it's dealing with, shitty kind of things to repair. Right.
Well, you're a very infectious and engaging person though. And I remember from the time back in the scene, because I don't think you and I ever had tons of conversations together, but I remember every time we did, I feel the same way now as I did then. You know
really,
what I mean?
eh?
Yeah, it's just there's something about when you start talking, I just get kind of like, oh, you just want to listen. So
wow,
I think you have a gift. I think you have a gift with that. Absolutely.
Well, thank you, man.
Yeah.
I think it was more just being desperate to express myself, because I felt, in the beginning it was like, I just wanted to help people desperately because I didn't want people to feel like shit. Because I felt like shit. And then I realized a little later, I was like, well, I've gotten quite a few gifts out of feeling like shit. So I don't want to really get in the way of people's process. You know what I mean? And try and force them out of those hard places, because there's some beautiful, beautiful things there waiting for you. But that's a really hard, like if you would say to me back then when I was struggling and dealing with all the craziness and the sickness, oh, there's gifts in this. I'd be like, I'd either want to rip your head off, or I'd just be inconsolable, right? Because I just wasn't in that place where I could accept or even hear what you were saying to me or trying to say to me. So I think as I worked through it, I got more excited about being able to have conversations with people and encourage them if they were having a hard time or whatever, and focusing on things that were more positive than negative, because I just didn't feel the like expressing the shadow in a positive way or shedding light on hard things became a superpower, as opposed to just trying to avoid being uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Well, now I realize that's where the growth is. Like, And it's not even about the end product. Like you got to enjoy, in my opinion, if we're planting a garden, like I want to enjoy planting it. I want to enjoy researching where to put that garden. I want to enjoy creating the garden. I want to enjoy weeding the garden. I want to enjoy planting the seeds. I want to enjoy all of that. It's not, because if you're miserable waiting to eat the salad, you know what I mean? Like that salad's going to suck, or it's going to be less than it could have been if you were really on top of the moment and like present to it. And those words sometimes turn my stomach, like your journey and present. But that's because as a guy, sometimes we're uncomfortable with that more tender stuff. But it's really true. Like if I'm talking to that little fucking seed before I put it in the ground, like, hey man, you're going to grow into the most delicious goddamn tomato that ever lived. Yep. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to meet you. And I put you in the ground and I plant you and I put water on you and there's music playing. I guarantee you that food's going to taste different. I guarantee you it is. Because if we do it with kids, if all your life, you're told you're less than and you're stupid and you're, what the fuck, you're always in the way, but like what kind of person is that going to be when they grow up, right? And we do it to ourselves. We beat the shit out of ourselves, and it's ridiculous, man. So I appreciate that I had a positive impact on you, because let's face it, man, at the end of the day, at the fucking funeral, they're not going to read out your bank statements. They're not going to read your T4s. They're not going to show your portfolios of the properties you own. That may be a part of your legacy, but it's about how you made all those people feel.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that like you enjoyed our conversations. Well, I hope that like if you multiply that by the amount of people you've interacted with, you've done some good things while you were here. So that's me planting my seeds, is just, trying to talk to people and make them feel a little better, maybe.
It works, man. And it's, I get what you're saying. And it's like, it's just energy, right? Positive energy. And, I guess over the last maybe 10 years, I've really, really kind of, maybe not even 10, 5 years, I've really kind of just tried to surround myself with the most positive stuff I can. Maybe as you get older, you start to identify it more, or you realize what is positive and what is negative, as opposed to just really accepting it all in because you wanted something when you're younger. And I don't know. I think that's the one good thing about getting older too, is you start to really figure out what's good for you and what's bad for you. Start to know yourself and start to know what you're capable of. And once you start having those kind of revelations, you can really make a few breakthroughs, right? And you make things for the better, and they definitely for the better. And I don't know, man. Yeah, our conversations, absolutely. Plus, I think of, when I think of like you guys and you and that, I think of like the 2000s, like in that chunk and that scene we were in with Loud Love and my band Our Mistake, and that was such a together kind of scene. Like I've been in bands past that, and I haven't felt that same kind of, it did feel like a big kind of like we were all in it together with like 88.5 and all those guys. And
it was so cool, man.
It was such a great scene, man.
It was so great. And just like, Brian with his club, and just like it was their special time, and we were lucky to have that. And I was like, I wasn't a kid then either, I was like in my 30s, so
same.
Or close to my 30s, right? So I was like, kind of feel like I felt then I was at the tail end of that part of my life, in terms of really hard charging, chasing the dream. But you're right, it was, I still smile, and I don't really listen to the radio or anything anymore. But when I do, I'll listen to 88.5 and I'll hear like Chelsea or Jen, and it still brings me back, and it was just so cool.
It was a cool, it was a cool chunk of time. And it was, I'm biased, but I think as far as over the last, like, as long as I've been in Ottawa, that was the best scene that came through. When you look back, and they could say, what was the best scene out of like the last 30 years of Ottawa? It has to be that mid 2000s. It's gotta be. So much talent, especially because good people.
That contest pushed a lot of people to go beyond what they were comfortable with, right? So, the big money shot like made people really push hard, work a little harder, put more time in, and I mean, holy shit, like that was quite the experience, man.
Yeah. And
like the grand finale show, it was like that place was fucking packed, and it was like, when I look at the video now, it was. The energy was crazy.
Like, it was so good. And it really, I'm not, just to say this, but it was not the station itself, but it was like 88.5 brought, like, with the Live Lounge. Remember the Live Lounge? And it was just
great,
it was totally that group of people at the time that were running that place that just kept
Yeah.
everything all together, and we were all like, they were in it with us and we were in it with them, and it was a great
Yeah, like,
bunch of years. Yeah.
and it felt like, you know, Eric and like everybody involved was like, they all wanted you to succeed.
Yeah.
Like everybody wanted everyone to win.
Everyone was
Everybody
pulling for
wanted to
everybody.
succeed.
Everybody
Yeah,
really
it was super cool to feel a part of that, you know. And it was really, I mean, the idea of competition, I never liked that, because it's like, music is creative and you can't judge. Like, it's really, to me, the idea of judging creativity is a redundant thing to do, because, you know, the guy that expresses himself through you know, death metal is going to have a different, you know, energy than the person that expresses himself maybe through, you know, pop music. So it's like the idea of that. I was not into the contest, but I was into the opportunity, and I was into the let's get into the synergy here. Like, let's see what happens when we all just get into this thing.
Absolutely.
But it was never, I didn't want to be at, like, I didn't want to talk shit, and I didn't want to make it about bands versus bands. Like, and as we all know, I mean, I don't know if you know, but I mean, I got into it, you know, with Live at one point.
Oh, did you?
Over the contract stuff.
Oh,
and
I
just
didn't know
like,
that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it got ugly, and I think I cut my own throat in the end, because I said and did some things I probably shouldn't have. But again, the Pete who's, you know, 49 is not the Pete who's 33 and like in a completely different place, right? So, anyways, I loved all that. It was great. It was so much fun, and you know, I started playing music. I was 14 when I did my first gig at the Downstairs Club as a drummer. And it was me, I think it was me, my buddy Chris Anderson, my buddy Steph McClellan, and I think my buddy Mike Hickey was singing. And I mean, Mike, who actually was the singer in that band, we started just doing Metallica covers, right? And we went and played, and we had no bass player.
No.
It was like it was drums, two guitars, and a singer. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. Ooh, shit. But yeah, I guess when Cliff died, they never had a bass player again. I would agree with that statement, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was like that. And Mike Mike has gone on now. He's like, he does this crazy stand-up comedy / music show. He lives in LA. He's like, he's just gone all in, and then has been all in for his entire adult life. Like, you know, he's just like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to find my way. And he's still doing it. He's like on tour with like Neil Hamburger now. And he's just did like a European tour. Now he's doing this tour in the States. And I'm like, and I always like, whenever I see him post, I'll send him a message, be like, I'm proud of you, man. Like, you know, he just kept going, and he's living, he's actually a happy human being living his purpose. And I fucking love seeing that, man. I like celebrating people's victories like that, because I know, like Steve Mariner, guys like that, just hard charging, just after it. And it's a weird thing to admit to yourself that, like, it's okay that you didn't, you know, go that far. It's okay that you know, I don't feel that level of fire anymore. And it's interesting, because I think all I ever was chasing was peace. You know, like I wasn't doing music because I wanted to be a fucking rock star. I did music because I felt like I was losing my mind, and it was something to keep my hands and heart and head busy in the moment. Right. So,
and, you know, and
I feel like I've won now, because I've manifested or have done enough work to the universe has lined me up with like the love of my life. And I say that, and I don't say that lightly, you know what I mean? Because I really believe that, you know, you can make any relationship a heaven or a hell, but you know, when you have a person in your life that lets you be you, who calls you out when you're being less than in an unhealthy way, and you know, like you're a bank robbing team, like you've got that level of commitment to each other where it's like, all right, you know, we're gonna do this thing. And this is kind of what has to happen, right? So now I feel like the creativity's opened up more because the platform is there. And you know, I was working as a metal artist when I came back from Cape Breton and just making art and living off that. and there's a certain amount of intensity and fun edge that goes with it. But I realized I'm too old for this shit. Like I'm not living hand to mouth anymore. Like I got to get some stability here. I want my partner to feel safe and comfortable. I want the kids to feel safe and comfortable. So I'm going to do this job that back in the day I'd be like, this is below me, or this is not what I want to do. It's not below me because there's honor in all work, but this is just not what I want to do. I'm going to do, I need to be a full-time creative, where now it's like, man, my day job allows me to think. I take those thoughts, I create with them. So even when I had Loud Love, I had Trees Company. So it was like, a tree service. So I'm working all day, singing with a backpack blower, harmonizing with the chipper, like it was all, you just kind of use it all, right? You use it all. But yeah, I feel like I'm probably entering into, like I feel like I'm looking forward now as opposed to looking back, or like I never wanted to be like the glory days guy, because
No.
I think that's really shitty. Like you're kind of spitting in the face of life, you know what I mean? And I didn't want to be the guy who's like, oh, I could have made it, or if this would have happened. And I've been that guy at one point, right? And that's boring.
It sounds like you have
defeating.
And that making it is making it, but it sounds like you've found your success. It's in your life, in your head, in your heart.
Absolutely, it's success is an inside job,
of course.
And I really believe that, and that's not just like a soundbite. Like it's
no.
Like fuck, man, it's a choice, dude. Honestly, it's 100% a choice. And if I wake up tomorrow morning and I say, and I'm like, fuck, I got to go to this job that, I'm a rolling complaints department essentially. But it's interesting because my whole narrative, my whole adult life has been to help people.
Yeah.
Well, because I always felt like being a person of service, whether that made me a people pleaser or whatever, for sure there's elements of that in there from my upbringing. But as an adult, when you recognize all those things that used to, kind of put you in positions that were less than ideal, you take that and go, okay, well, what is it? Like, what do I actually enjoy? Where have I found my biggest pleasure? Is it, the one time I had a bit of money in the bank? No. It's the day to day when I'm being fucking kind to people. Like I can't go to work without running into at least 10 homeless people. And I take that opportunity to just roll down the window and say, listen, if I have, I usually have water in the truck. So I'll like, hey man, you want some water? I'm sorry, I don't have any cash. Like I don't carry cash, but just like, I see you, I hope you have, a half decent day. Mm-hmm. And it's not fucking virtue signaling. I'm not filming it and putting it on Instagram and saying, like, I'm just being a fucking human being, recognizing another human being and just shining a bit of light on them and just letting them know. And that to me is, that, like there was a homeless encampment on one of the properties that the company that I work for owns. And we had to go ask them to move over a little bit because Hydro Ontario or Hydro Ottawa has allowed homeless people, which I think is amazing, to sleep, like to put up tents on their transmission lines, which is not where humans want to be. But I mean, like at least they're not, no, you can't stay here. And they're pushing them further and further out of the limits of the city. Right. Like these are fucking people, man. Like, so, we went to go have a conversation with these people. And I ended up, some police showed up just by chance. And so I had a great talk with them. And then turns out that the homeless people weren't there that day. But then I ran into one of them sitting, I was at a stoplight and this woman was there and that I knew was staying at that camp. So I pulled over, we had a quick chat. And I just felt like I did more good in that conversation. And selfishly, when I drive home to the life down where, I've got a woman I really love and children I really care about. And, like there's an element of like, it's not, oh, geez, I'm glad I'm not those people. It's holy fuck, thank you. Whatever's running the show or whatever it is inside me that brought me to this place, whatever it is, thank you. Because that gratitude carries me further than anything, but it's a goddamn choice, man. It's a choice, I remember sitting with Gordie Johnson there from Big Sugar on his tour bus back in like 98. Like I think Hemivision had come out and he was playing at what's that room at Carleton? You know that at Carleton University, their ballroom or whatever. There's like a space there. Um,
I don't
whatever
know. I don't know. Anyway,
whatever that place is, he was playing. The Big Sugar was playing there, and
Yep.
we were friends. And so I was on his bus with him, and
Atomic Cafe. Anyway, sorry.
I can't remember.
Sorry, I didn't mean to break your train of
Something.
thought
It's something Hall. Is it Tudor Hall or something?
Oh
Hall?
yeah, that's right. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So you're sitting on
So
his
anyways,
bus. Wow.
So we're sitting on his bus, and he's like, he's exhausted, right? Because he's a touring musician.
Sure.
And even though he's doing the tour bus life and all that, like, he's made it. He's a signed Universal artist. He's where I want to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I was working as in a cemetery on burial crew for like, I think I was making $9 an hour.
Yeah.
It was a while ago, and I'm sitting on the bus, and he, gave me a beer, and I'm just having a beer, and he's just complaining, like he's just unloading how tired he is, how miserable he is, like his throat hurts, he misses his lady, and he's just like, I'm just listening, and I'm listening to him, and I'm listening to him, and I'm listening to him, and I'm just nodding my head, and I'm sipping my beer, and I'm listening to him, I'm letting him unload, and then he pauses, and I said, so it's like 1 a.m. He's like, yeah. I'm like, I got to get up at 5:30, and I'm going to bury children for $9 an hour.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And he goes, yeah, man, sorry, dude. Like, it's like I needed that like slap in the face, and I'm like, Gordy, I'm not trying to make you feel like shit, because there's honor and all, like there's value
Point
and everything,
taken,
but
though.
like, you know what, man, tell your wife this, don't tell a struggling musician this, because like I don't want to hear it. Like, you know what I mean? Especially back then, and yeah, because
that's a tremendous story.
Well, yeah, just like, and that's all I had to say to him. Like, dude, like I'm
A learning lesson too.
yeah, because he was like, fuck. But I mean, I think Gordy always liked me because I'd call him out on his shit or whatever. And I was a real friend.
How can you not respect that? Yeah.
Because he was like a mentor to me, and I respected him, and I still respect him. But it was like, I was like, I'm not the guy who's gonna, I'll compliment you. Like when I meet one of my heroes or whatever, I certainly let them know that, I appreciate what they brought to the world.
No.
But that's still a person, right? And if you're acting in a certain way that I don't jive with or whatever, or I feel like you need a little slap to remember, like, hey man, like let's shine some light on the good shit here,
Yeah.
But we're human and we're fallible. Like
Sure.
This is what we do.
Sure.
The lottery ruins more lives than it saves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Absolutely.
So,
I get it. No, that's the thing
but
too,
anyway.
man. It's just like, would you rather feel the way you feel now and not have that type of success, or would you rather feel the way you did and be like famous? I think either way, it's like a double-edged sword, right? It's like,
well, yeah, and I think you could have both, but
yeah.
But I don't know that I'd want, like, it didn't happen, so it didn't happen, right? And I think the measure of a life, the older I get, is again, it keeps going back to like, dude, I've done a ton of funerals, right? I don't know if you knew that I did weddings and stuff.
That's the last time I saw you at
Jay
Watts' wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I'd been doing weddings forever, and then I just kind of lost, like, once I'd married kind of all my friends and my friends of friends, and I kind of sort of lost I just started to feel like it wasn't something I wanted to do. But then I got a call to do a funeral for a high school friend, and I'd never done a funeral.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this, even though I was fucking terrified. But I've gotten more out of funerals than I ever did out of weddings, because like you get down to the real shit. Weddings are beautiful. They're great. It's nice. Love is a beautiful thing to celebrate, but life is an even better thing to celebrate as a whole. And my approach to funerals or celebrations of life, whatever the hell you want to call them, was always like, listen, man, like my job here is to bring this person back to life for like 45 minutes. So help me do that, and it really hits home after doing all these funerals, or when I'm doing a funeral, like, it's how you made people feel. It is 100% how you made people feel.
Sure.
There's no other gauge in life, to me personally, that has more impact than how you made people feel. And that's free. That's a choice. that's, you don't have to have you don't need, 100 million in the bank. You don't need a fancy car. You don't need a fancy job. You don't need a nice house. You just need a mouth and a heart, and that's it. And you're going to be like, all right, I have a choice here. I'm going to tell this guy to go fuck himself, or I'm going to take a breath and maybe just say, hey man, you seem like you're pretty fucked up right now. What's going on? And then you move forward with that energy,
Yeah,
and then there's days
that's
I just
great.
want the whole world to burn like everybody else. Like, I'm sick of this fucking place. We deserve what we get. And I get really dark, but then you feel like shit, so, but we're here to learn, fuck.
Is there anything you wanted to kind of end off with? Like, do you have anything coming up as far as like
I kind of reset. I kind of hit the big reset on life, and now, like I said, I'm still doing metal art. I gave up my shop in Masham, but I'm gonna put together, like, I'm gonna put my shop up here at the farm, and so now my focus is just making metal art, and finishing this book. It's a fiction book, and it's going to be pretty fun. And I'm going to do a record that goes along with the book.
Amazing.
And put some swag out. It's like this little world I'm creating, and all these, like, there'll be like inside jokes, in terms of like, there's a record store in this book. And as I'm writing, in my head, I'm like, okay. And he approaches this record store, and he looked up, and the sign says, and in my mind, and then the next thing I just see this sign, and it says, Divinal Interventions. So it's like a vinyl record shop, right? And I'm like, oh, Divinal Interventions, that's cool. So I'm going to make up this fake record store swag that will be tied into my book. So if you actually like the book and you like that, so I'm just kind of bringing all my, and the book's about this musician, so he's like, there will be a record by this fictional musician released with the book.
Yeah.
So it's not under my name. It's just this guy, right? So it's just this fun little world. So that's kind of like the focus right now.
Oh, it's pretty exciting though.
That.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, a book. I'm releasing a book that has an album and merch with it. So it's the same kind of drive that I had before, but it's just a different application, right?
Of course,
so,
and I'm such a fan of, like, I have so much respect for like vision and creative things. I just, the previous podcast I had my friend Zoe on, and she's created, like, during the pandemic, she sat at home and recorded. She had no real experience in like recording and stuff. She taught herself how to record and released an EP. She started like a YouTube channel. Everything she does, she gets this little vision and then she makes it happen.
Yeah.
And I have tons of like respect for that kind of creativity and the drive, and then actually making the product. So what you're speaking of now, where you have all this kind of ideas, and I can almost feel them as they were built. So I'm really excited that
it's the follow through, man. It's the follow through that's the challenge. But at the same time, now I'm not doing this because I think I'm gonna get rich or famous.
No,
I'm like,
of course not.
I just want to get this done. So I'm like, okay, that's out of my head, right?
Yeah.
That's out of my head, and then the next thing will show up. Because Tom Waits said, it's like, I think I'll paraphrase, but he was talking about how, like, the muse, like the ideas show up. Like, you become a receptor for ideas. They show up, but if you don't invite them in and execute them, or execute the idea, they're going to go to the next person.
Yeah.
So I want to capture these things, bring them to life, and then wait for the next one, right?
Yeah.
That's exciting. That's like Christmas.
I get it. Like this podcast for me, 5 years and 97 episodes later, I don't make a dime. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I just do it I do it for moments like this, just to connect with my friends. Make an episode so I can give back to them. So I say, here's a whole hour that you can like give to your friends or your family or whatever and stuff, like, it put you in the spotlight, because that makes me feel good to do that for you. For
dude, Mike,
for
I just appreciated a conversation with you, man.
Of course, yeah, me too.
I love it. Like, and it's an honest conversation about interesting things, as opposed to just the bullshit, right? Like, and I mean, again, I think it's a beautiful thing that we're at an age where we have all this technology that we can do so much more than we could have ever dreamed of when we were in our 20s or teenage years.
Absolutely.
But now it's like, well, I can't imagine the pressure of being a young person now trying to be cool on multiple platforms. Like, high school was hard enough for a lot of people. So imagine trying to be cool on multiple platforms. It's insanity. But it's also, there's great opportunity there, and maybe it gives people a platform that never had it before. So, but I'm just glad that we get to use it to have interesting conversations without having to take a bus across town and meet up
Right.
somebody's basement. You know what I mean? It's like, this is great. We just have a good chat, and it sets a nice tone for the day. I'm gonna go off and have date time with my lady, and you're gonna go and have band practice, and life is
that?
beautiful, man.
Yeah, man. Let's leave it on that
We're
note.
living the dream, baby.
That's
We're
a
living
great
the
note.
dream.
That's a great way to leave it off. All right, buddy.
And I wish you all the best of luck, man. And I appreciate this conversation. I wish you all the success in the world and happiness and all that good shit. Man.
Oh, same, man. And
I thank you for this.
It's been a privilege. For me, man. It's been a privilege. Thank you so much again, and I will talk to you real soon. Once that project's
Right
done,
on.
come back on.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd
Okay.
love to.
All right, dude.
Right on. Hold me accountable. I love it.
I will. Have a great day.
You too, Mike. Take it easy, man.
All right, bud.
Bye.
baseball bat. Gotta bring my love into the world for a while. When I get on girl, you know I'm gonna make you smile. I climb across the mountains and I swim across the sea. I do anything I take to keep my sweet girl happy now. So kiss it, pretty baby. Put a smile on that face. You know I'm dying to get into you, and I just can't wait. So hurry, pretty baby. Wanna have you all night long. She said I'm glad to see you getting into me, but I got a question and I won't take long. Take a look in my eye. Tell me that you love me. Take a look at my soul. Tell me that you care now. What is love that I feel? It's the only thing in life that's real. It's all I want and all I need is love.
Fucking sitting here dancing in my seat. Love that shit. Anyway, I want to thank Pete for being on Ego and Vice. Good talk. Great time. Nice to catch up. Yeah, if you want to get a hold of me, you can contact me at egoandvice@gmail.com. If you want to be on the podcast, drop me a line or an email. You can listen to the podcast on Podomatic, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, all those places. Just search Ego and Vice podcast. I'm the only one out there, so there you go. Yeah, that's it for me. Yeah, it was a good time. Anyway, I will see you next week. Take care.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.